Any reaction to the one way or another on the clock changes and with the clocks no longer stopping except for the last couple of minutes? Do you feel strongly about that one way?
I mean, I don't. It's not going to change, how the game is played for any offense, any style. When it's set, it'll be ready. It shortens the game in some respects. So, I guess we'll see more on the back end what type of changes it actually had.
Does it affect tempo teams more than non-tempo teams or anything like that, or everybody's got to?
No, I mean it just shortens the length of the game, and we'll see how much of an effect that actually has on number of possessions a game, that type of thing.
Josh, the portal's closed. Will you guys explore adding a quarterback? I know we've asked you that before. Is that a possibility?
You guys know my philosophy on the portal. I've said that it's a way to supplement your roster. As you look at who's in, you evaluate them. Do they fit? Do they make your roster stronger, deeper, better? And so we'll continue to do that with the names that are in there. I think there's probably another day or so where some names might trickle in over the weekend.
How did you feel about Gaston Moore and his growth here in the spring?
I thought he did a really nice job. For a lot of our fans, for you guys, it's the most action that you guys have been able to see him have. Thought he handled it in the spring game, but the other scrimmages extremely well. Communicates, runs it efficiently and effectively. Eyes are in the right spot. He's continued to grow. Had a really good spring.
Josh, what are your reactions to the draft, to the weekend for your guys?
Man, super excited about those guys. I think 5 guys in the first 3 rounds, second most in the country. Excited about them taking the next step. You see the wideouts go. Proud of those guys, and we're excited for them.
Friday night you had 4 guys and 10 picks. What was that 30-minute stretch where your guys would come off?
Yeah, I wish we could have pre-planned that and gotten everybody in front of the TV sets across Tennessee to see all that action. But awesome to see all those guys go. You look at all their journeys different, but in some ways similar too. Those are all guys that really invested, grew from the time that our staff got here, where they started their careers out at that point, and how they moved forward. Those guys, became some of the most prominent names in college football. They put themselves in a position to be drafted. Expect all of those guys to handle it like a pro as they transition to the next level and have a ton of success.
Josh, is it frustrating when people talk about the system stuff, not just at the quarterback position, but in general, that the narratives out there, well, they didn't play in a pro system? Does that frustrate you as an offensive
Man, 10 years ago, I think there was a trickle-down effect from the NFL to college. I think it's the exact opposite in today's landscape. Over the last 3 cycles or 3 drafts, we've had 5 wide receivers. I've had more wide receivers drafted in the last 3 years than any other college coach. I think that speaks to what we're doing, how we're developing those guys understanding, coverages, concepts, but also how to beat man coverage. That can be press, that can be off technique. That doesn't just happen by accident. So I think what we do does translate in how those guys have been developed.
You averaged 46 points a game last year. Does that number jump out to you at all? That's a lot of points a game, or is it just, I want to go higher?
Well, we want to score every time that we got the ball. At the end of the day, we want to win football games. That's the most important thing. So the number that we pay the most attention to is the record. And at the end of the day, we got to get to Atlanta, and we got to continue to grow as a program.
Josh, you've got a couple of commitments from the Chattanooga area. A couple of guys from this area have committed to Vanderbilt. A couple of quarterbacks. There's a kid that committed to Ohio State. When you got to Tennessee, did you notice this cycle that Chattanooga had a whole lot of prospects?
Chattanooga's had a long history of great players. You can go all the way back to Reggie White, who's the best defensive lineman that ever played this game. This is a great area. It's been an area that's been extremely important to Tennessee, our football team, for a very long time. It's certainly important to myself and our staff. We've tried to recruit the entire state, but we've been very intentional on how we've recruited Chattanooga as well.
Josh, going back to the draft, obviously you guys can, as a staff, can use it as a recruiting tool, but even for your current players, can it have any effect on those guys, or is that maybe overblown that they can see that their teammates worked and got this opportunity in their
No, it absolutely speaks to our current roster. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. That's not just while you're playing with the T on the side of your helmet. It puts you in position to make a career out of this thing. And, those guys that got drafted, it will be a career. And I think it speaks, because all of our young players, but the guys that have been around these guys for 2 years, saw the work that they put in, it changes the behaviors, it changes the habits inside of our locker room, and absolutely it's important inside of our own roster, not just recruiting new guys to Tennessee.
Coach, obviously, Hendon fell to the third round because of ACL concerns. Do you think he has a big chip on his shoulder now because of that?
Hendon operates the same way every single day. You know, was he disappointed in that in some ways? Well, probably, but at the same time, extremely excited about going to Detroit. That's a team that he spent a lot of time with, that was very intentional with him. It's an opportunity for him to grow, get healthy, get on the field, compete, and you know, have an opportunity to become the face of that franchise. So he's super excited. His family is too. Our staff, myself, couldn't be more excited for him too.
Josh, are you still kind of Switzerland on the 8 or 9 league game debate?
I don't know if I'm Switzerland, but like I have no effect on what's going to happen on that. So there's been a lot of debate from the commissioner to the athletic directors. I have no idea where they're at this point.
So you don't have one way or another, you don't have a...
And I think it's important you keep traditional rivalries and you get a chance to play those games that mean a bunch to you know, your fan base and the guys inside your locker room too.
Thank you, Coach.
Awesome.